Hi everyone, Savannah Tree Foundation Field Manager Jake Henry here, and today I'm just going to do a quick video on the basics of pruning. There's maybe a lot of misinformation out there on how to prune or why you should prune, so I'm just going to give the real quick synopsis. Pruning really is just to sort of maintain the health of the tree and help shape its form in the future so it stays healthy throughout its life. There are right ways and wrong ways to do pruning, so I'm going to do just kind of a simple right way to do it. And an important thing to remember with any type of pruning cut is that you're creating a wound on the tree. So with any type of pruning we do, we want to minimize that wound. We want to make it as small as possible, make it easy for the tree to heal over so that it's overall a benefit to the tree. We don't want the pruning cut to be a detriment to the tree long term. So one of the first things we'll look for, and we've got this nice little swamp chestnut oak here, this little potted tree I've got. One of the first things you look for with pruning is dead or broken or diseased branches. That's really the first thing you want to clean out of the tree. And we've got one down here, actually. This little branch right here is dead, so we're going to remove that. So what I'm going to use are these simple little bypass hand pruners. And I clean these with alcohol beforehand, or you can use sort of like a Lysol. It's actually pretty important to sterilize tools when you make pruning cuts. If you don't, it can be pretty easy to transport diseases or sort of fungi, bacteria from one tree to another. And so we don't want to do that. We want to try to keep our trees as healthy as possible. Like I said, we're creating an open wound on this tree, so we don't want to cause any issues more than we need to. And little fun fact, so these pruners are actually handed. So these are right-handed pruners because the cutting edge is on the right side. And that's really where we want to be cutting with. So the reason is, if you use this other side, which is called sort of I think it's called the anvil, it can smash the tissue of the part of the tree we're keeping. And we don't want that. So instead of, let me see if I can get a good angle here. We don't want to smash the inside. What we want is to have a nice clean cut. And so what we'll do is try to cut as close to this branch union as possible without actually damaging the part we're keeping. So let's see if we can get a good, nice, clean cut right there. And so we left a little bit on there, but that's okay. There's sort of what we call here a branch bark ridge. I don't know if you can see it very well with this, but that's sort of where the branch union happens. We don't want to cut into that. We want to be outside of that branch union. And if you cut too far out, you leave a lot of a stub. The tree has to sort of heal around that. We don't want to do that. And so that's sort of the basics of just easily removing a branch. You don't want to leave stubs, but you don't want to, what's called flush cut it. We don't want to cut into the bark of the tree. So again, the first focus is dead, diseased branches. We want to get those off of there. They're not providing any benefit to the tree. After that, we can really start looking at what we want the form of the tree to be. So do we want it to stay nice and stout? Do we want it to really branch out? One of the main things that you don't want are branches that sort of run into each other. And this tree's not too bad. It's got some pretty nice branch unions. So you can see these are nicely spaced. They're not too close together. That's what we want. Because long term, if we leave branches on that are growing really close together, they're going to start growing into each other, causing, damage and disease, and it really isn't good long term. So this has nice structure for now. We'll come back and check on it next year and see how it's doing. But there are a lot of pruning cuts you can make to sort of clean up a tree. Over time, we want to sort of lift the branches. So when a tree grows out, when a branch grows out from a tree right here, this branch will never get any higher. It'll always be at this height. So eventually we want to remove this branch here because obviously we want our lowest branch to be a little bit higher than that. So over time, as this tree grows and gets taller, we'll slowly prune up the tree so that the lowest branch will be high, wherever we want it, a little bit higher than that. and eventually we can leave that branch. We won't have to prune much more. And that's the goal. If we shape these trees, prune them appropriately when they're young, long-term down the road, it will require a lot less maintenance and hassle when it comes to tree maintenance. So that's the quick basics of pruning. We're gonna have more sessions on that, so don't worry, we'll go much more in depth on pruning. But hopefully that helps you understand a little bit of why we prune and just some of the easy basics of pruning our trees. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Take care.